I'd just gotten home when I heard noises coming from the garage. When I listened closer, it was my wife's stepson's voice. Yeah, I cut the brake line. Meet you at the funeral tomorrow. My wife of 11 years whispered back, The insurance is active, right? $250,000. Split down the middle. I had to control my rage and quietly left. I called someone to tow that vehicle to his biological father's house. Just 2 hours later. If you overheard your own family planning your funeral, would you call the cops immediately or gather evidence first? Tell me in the comments. Because my choice led to a courtroom showdown nobody expected, not even me. Let me tell you about that December night. The night everything changed. I'd been a carpenter for 34 years. Long enough to know the most important tool isn't the saw. It's patience. Measure twice, cut once. Around 8 p.m., I pulled into my driveway in my old Honda sedan, the one Sharon called my work beater. I'd stopped at Domino's to grab a pizza, thinking maybe we could have one normal family dinner when Sharon got back from her book club. Me, Sharon, my wife of 11 years, and Brandon, her son from her first marriage. Just once without the cold silence that had filled our house since I'd refused to co-sign Brandon's $28,000 loan 3 months back. My work truck, the F-250. I drove to job sites, sat in the driveway where I'd left it that morning. The garage door was closed, light off inside. Odd. Brandon usually had it blazing when he worked on something. Then I heard his voice from the side door cracked open just enough. Yeah, I already cut the brake line. See you at his funeral tomorrow. Brandon's voice, calm as ordering coffee. My fingers tightened on the pizza box. Then I heard her, Sharon's voice through his speakerphone. She was supposed to be at book club until 10. You're sure the insurance is active? My stomach dropped. Policy went active last week, Brandon said. $250,000, 50-50 split. It's done. A pause. Good, Sharon said. I'm leaving the meeting now. Be home in 20. Not don't, not stop, just good. I backed away. My boots scuffed concrete. Brandon's silhouette shifted toward the sound. I froze, heart hammering. He didn't come looking, just kept talking, voice dropping lower. Yeah, she's on her way. We'll talk when she gets here. I slid into my sedan as quietly as I could. The pizza box sat on my lap, still warm. The smell that had made me hopeful now made me sick. I stared at my house, the garage where my stepson had just told my wife he'd sabotaged my work truck, the one I'd drive tomorrow morning to a job site in Castle Hayne, the one whose brakes would fail on Highway 17. My phone was slick with sweat. I could call the police, but what would I say? My stepson said he cut my brake line and my wife approved over the phone. No proof, no confrontation, no body yet. In a small town that makes you a joke, or worse, paranoid old confused. Then they'd just keep going. I sat there breath-fogging the windshield. Sharon would be home in 20 minutes. I had to be gone before then. If I was going to survive this, I had to be what I'd always been, patient. Measure twice, cut once. I started the car. I did the only thing that made sense. I called for help, but not the kind they'd expect. I pulled away from my house slow, no headlights, until I turned the corner. 2 streets over, I parked and opened the roadside assistance app with shaking hands. The dispatcher answered on the second ring. What's your location? Front driveway, 1712 Maple Grove Court, Wilmington, Silver Ford F-250. Is the vehicle drivable? No, safety issue. She didn't ask what kind. We'll have someone there within the hour. Where are we taking it? I'd already decided. Wrightsville Beach, off Harbor Drive. I gave her Gordon Fletcher's address. Brandon's father. Retired mechanic, 60 years old. Hands still stained with 35 years of grease. If anyone could tell a cut brake line from where, it was Gordon, the dispatcher confirmed. Drivers should be there in 40 minutes. I sat there in the dark. My phone buzzed. Sharon, where are you? I didn't answer. Brandon, you moved my truck? Not yours, I thought. Mine. I thought about the timing. Brandon and Sharon were inside. The TV had been on in the back room. I'd heard it through the walls. Sharon always turned it up loud. And Brandon wore those noise-canceling headphones when he worked. They wouldn't hear the tow truck. I drove back, parked 3 houses down, close enough to watch, far enough to stay hidden. My phone kept lighting up. 3 missed calls from Sharon, 2 texts from Brandon. I turned it face down, measure twice, cut once. Headlights swept down the street. The tow truck a flatbed with a local company logo. The driver climbed out, thick guy in a work jacket. He looked at my truck, looked at the house. Then he called the number on his work order. I answered before the second ring. I'm here. Just load it. I'll follow you. You the owner? Yes. It's late for a tow? I'll pay extra. Money talks. He grunted and got to work. The winch rattled as the cable pulled my F-250 onto the flatbed. Metal on metal. The sound made my skin crawl. Chains. The living room light stayed on. No one came to the window. The driver secured the truck and walked back to his cab. He gave me a long look like he was trying to decide if I was drunk or crazy. He climbed in. The engine rumbled, and then they were rolling my truck, disappearing down Maple Grove Court. I followed from a distance, just close enough to keep the taillights in sight. My phone lit up again. Sharon's face filled the screen. That photo from our anniversary 2 years ago. Blue dress, steakhouse in downtown Wilmington. I thought we were happy. I hit decline. The road blurred. My hands were slick on the wheel. The pizza box sat cold on the passenger seat, forgotten. I followed those taillights through Wilmington past shopping centers and chain restaurants toward Wrightsville Beach, where the houses got smaller and the air smelled like salt. We passed the bridge over the Intracoastal, water black and still beneath us. Christmas lights reflected on the surface like stars that had fallen and couldn't get back up. Gordon Street was quiet. Small brick houses, boats in driveways, American flags on porches. The kind of neighborhood where people kept to themselves and fixed their own problems. The tow truck pulled into Gordon's driveway. I parked on the street. The driver climbed out, looked at me. "This the place?" "This is it." Gordon Fletcher opened his door at 11 p.m. looking like I'd woken him from the dead. When he saw my face, he knew it wasn't a social call. The tow driver was already unhooking the chains. Gordon stood there in sweatpants and a flannel shirt, gray hair sticking up. "Vaughn, what the hell?" I climbed out of my sedan. "I need you to look at something before anyone else touches it." "Look at what?" "The brakes. I think they've been tampered with." His face changed. 35 years as a mechanic, he knew the difference between paranoid and careful. "Whose truck?" "Mine. Brandon lives with us, but this is mine." Gordon nodded slow, paid the tow driver, waved him off. Between us, we rolled the F-250 into his garage. Tools hung neat on pegboards. The space smelled like old oil and metal. Gordon grabbed a flashlight and a creeper, dropped onto his back, and rolled under the truck without a word. I stood there, arms wrapped around myself, cold, trying to hold myself together. Gordon muttered under the truck. Old habit. Then a sharp breath. "Vaughn, get down here." I knelt. He angled the flashlight. The brake line, clean cut. Not frayed, not rusted, a straight slice. "That's not wear," Gordon said, quiet. "That's not corrosion, that's deliberate." My stomach flipped. "When did you last drive it?" "Yesterday afternoon. It was fine." "Then somebody did this tonight." He rolled out, stood, wiped his hands on a rag stained with 35 years of grease that never washes out. He pulled his phone. "I'm calling the police." "Wait." His look was sharp. "This isn't family drama. This is felony. Someone could have died." "I know. Just let me make one call first." He nodded. "One." I called Vanessa Portman, the lawyer from my house closing years back. She answered groggy but snapped alert. "Don't drive that truck. Document everything." "Yes, call police. I'll talk to you tomorrow." Gordon dialed 911. Sirens grew closer. Red and blue lights washed over the garage. Detective Langford arrived. Professional. Photographed the brake line from 6 angles. Took statements. He looked at me. "You're lucky you didn't drive this." "I know." "Any idea who did this?" The question I'd been dreading. Gordon stood beside me, arms crossed, jaw tight. I could see his reflection in the patrol car window, a father about to hear the worst thing. I took a breath. "I overheard my stepson tonight. Brandon, he was on the phone with my wife. He said he'd already cut the brake line. Said to see her at my funeral tomorrow." Gordon's face didn't move, but something behind his eyes broke. Langford wrote it down, asked more questions. Had there been threats before? Did I have proof beyond what I'd overheard? I answered everything steady as I could. When Langford finally left, taking the truck as evidence, Gordon and I stood in his driveway, cold and damp. "You can't go home," Gordon said. "I know. Couch is yours." He didn't ask why his son would do this. Didn't defend Brandon. Just pulled a blanket from a closet and tossed it to me. "Try to sleep." I lay on that couch staring at the ceiling. Every sound made my eyes snap open. A car passing, the house settling, my own heartbeat. My phone buzzed. Sharon's name lit the screen. I let it ring. Brandon tried next, then Sharon again. I turned the phone face down. Gordon's house was quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that makes every thought loud. I kept seeing that brake line, clean cut, deliberate. Someone had taken their time, used the right tool, made sure it would fail at speed. Tomorrow morning I would have driven to a job site in Castle Hayne, Highway 17, 60 miles an hour, maybe more. The brakes would have gone out on a curve or at a stoplight or merging into traffic. They would have called it an accident. Sharon would have cried at my funeral, collected the insurance, split it with her son. I pulled the blanket tighter. That night, sleep never came. I just waited for morning and wondered if they knew yet that I wasn't coming home. I woke on Gordon's couch the next morning, neck stiff to the smell of coffee. By then, Sharon had already won the first battle, and I didn't even know we were fighting yet. Gordon handed me a mug. I checked my phone. 47 notifications. Sharon's Facebook post sat at the top of my feed. Long, emotional, carefully written. Please pray for my family. Vaughn left last night in anger and has made terrible accusations about my son. Brandon is heartbroken. Lies can destroy a family faster than any accident. Please pray for truth and healing. Below it, a photo from last Christmas. Sharon and Brandon smiling, our living room glowing. The comments flooded in. Praying for you. Some men can't handle losing control. You deserve better. I felt punched. She was making me the villain. Gordon, my voice came out rough. Look. He read over my shoulder, his jaw tightened. Posted 2 hours ago. 2 hours. While I'd stared at his ceiling, she'd built her story. I need to go back, I said. You sure? I need clothes, documents. I can't just disappear. I drove to Wilmington with Detective Langford following. He'd called about follow-up questions. When I pulled onto Maple Grove Court, Mrs. Bergman was in her yard. She saw me, didn't wave, just stared. 2 patrol cars in my driveway. Inside, Sharon sat on the couch, tissue in hand, eyes red. Brandon stood near the hallway, arms crossed, calm, too calm. Langford stepped in. Few more questions. I answered. Same facts, same timeline. Brandon spoke up smooth. My stepdad's been struggling, stressed about money, acting paranoid. That's not true, I said. Sharon didn't look at me. You scared us. You just left. Because I heard... Brandon cut me off. Heard what me, on the phone, I was talking to a friend about a job. Langford scribbled. Brandon continued wounded. He hates me. Been trying to get me out for months. I said you needed a plan. You're 32. Sharon looked up. You said he needed to move out. I said responsibility. Langford raised a hand. Keep it respectful. I realized something cold. They were performing, and they were good. Langford turned to me. You shouldn't be here. No contact orders processing. You need another place. I walked out carrying nothing. Sharon watched from the window, arms folded. Brandon stood in the doorway. Something flickered at the corner of his mouth. Not quite a smirk. Close. I got into my sedan. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. You really messed this up, old man? I sat there, hands on the steering wheel, staring at those words. And I realized something that made my skin crawl. They weren't just trying to kill me. They were making sure that if I survived, no one would believe me. The next morning, I checked into a motel off Highway 17, the kind with weekly rates and no questions. Budget inn, room 14, thin walls, traffic noise. Then I called Vanessa Portman. We met in her office that afternoon. Law books, coffee smell. She didn't waste time on sympathy. She gave me a list. Evidence, timestamps, witnesses. We build a wall of facts they can't climb. Tell me everything again, she said. Don't leave details out. I told her. Pizza, garage, conversation, truck, Gordon, brake line. She took notes. Why that night? Why now? I don't know. Brandon's been angry since I refused to co-sign his loan. $28,000. 3 months ago. 3 months. Something clicked in her eyes. Let me check something. She typed. I watched. Her face changed. Vaughn, did you know Sharon took out a life insurance policy on you? What, no? She turned the screen. Policy document. $250,000. Beneficiaries. Sharon Sutton, 50%. Brandon, 50%. Effective date 1 week ago. The room tilted. She insured my life. Without your knowledge. Online application. And look at the date. Policy activated 7 days before your brake line was cut. They were waiting for it to go active. This isn't just attempted murder, Vaughn. This is conspiracy for financial gain. This changes everything. My phone rang. Beckett Malloy. Old friend from my carpentry days. Vaughn, I heard from Gordon. I did some asking around. About what? Auto parts store on Market Street. I know the manager. Asked about security footage. Brandon bought a tubing cutter 2 days before your brake incident. Paid with card. Then Sharon came in 10 minutes later. Different register. Bought nothing. But she paid cash for Brandon's purchase. Reimbursed him right there. My throat went tight. She paid for the tool to kill me. Store's sending footage to Detective Langford. Back in my motel room that night, I laid out the evidence in my mind, the way a carpenter builds a blueprint. Tow receipt with timestamp. Gordon's inspection confirming cut. Police photos. Overheard conversation, my testimony. Store footage showing purchase plus Sharon's payment. Insurance policy with perfect timing. Brandon's voicemail. Threatening tone. Vanessa called. Preliminary hearing scheduled. 2 weeks. We present evidence, judge decides if there's probable cause. Will it be enough? Truth always is. We just have to show it clearly. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the insurance policy. Sharon had signed my name somehow. Put a price on my life like I was a used truck she wanted to unload. $250,000, split down the middle. I wondered if they'd talked about what they'd do with the money. If Brandon planned to finally move out, pay off his debts, start fresh. If Sharon pictured herself as the grieving widow collecting sympathy and cash. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, head in my hands, and felt something I hadn't let myself feel yet. Rage. Not the hot screaming kind, the cold patient kind. The kind that builds furniture one careful joint at a time. The kind that doesn't rush. 2 weeks crawled by. Nights in that motel room staring at water-stained ceiling tiles. Days reviewing evidence with Vanessa phone calls with Gordon staring at the calendar, like it might move faster if I looked hard enough. Waiting is its own kind of torture. Then the morning of the hearing arrived. The new Hanover County Courthouse looked tired in the December morning light. Brown brick, worn stone steps. The kind of building that had witnessed every variety of human trouble and stopped being surprised a long time ago. Gordon drove me, parked 2 blocks away, walked with me to the entrance. "You got this," he said quietly. Inside, the metal detector beeped. Security waved us through. And then near the courtroom entrance, Sharon and Brandon. Sharon wore a navy cardigan and a crucifix necklace prominently displayed. Her hands clutched a tissue. Brandon stood beside her clean-shaven, pressed button-down shirt. He looked like a job candidate. Our eyes met 11 years of marriage condensed into one look. Sharon whispered as I passed, "You don't have to do this." Vanessa didn't slow down. "Ma'am, don't speak to my client." Sharon flinched. Brandon's mouth twitched, almost a smirk, then returned to neutral. The courtroom was smaller than TV makes them look. Judge's bench, a few rows of seats flags in the corners. I recognized faces, Mrs. Bergman in the 3rd row. Constance and Beverly whispering the guy from Food Lion. Small towns don't miss a public spectacle. Everyone stood when the judge entered, gray hair glasses low on his nose, the face of a man who'd heard every excuse. "Be seated. Case number 2024 CR 1847 State versus Brandon Sutton preliminary hearing." My throat tightened. Hearing Brandon's name with State versus made it real. The prosecutor, young assistant DA, summarized the charges. Attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, insurance fraud. Brandon's lawyer, slick suit, and all responded, "Your Honor, this is a family dispute being criminalized. A stepfather with a grudge." Grudge heat rose up my neck. Sharon dabbed her eyes. Brandon stared straight ahead, calm as stone. The prosecutor called Bob Granger, stocky guy in a mechanic's shirt. He took the stand, swore in. "Mr. Granger, what did you find when you examined the vehicle?" Bob, matter of fact, the brake line had been cut. Clean cut. Not corrosion, not natural wear, not road damage. Brandon's lawyer tried, "Could road debris have damaged the line?" Bob blinked. "A clean cut at that angle through the brake hose casing? No way. Could it have been an accident during maintenance?" Bob leaned into the mic. "So somebody accidentally cut clean through a brake line and didn't notice? That's not maintenance. That's negligence at best." The judge made a note. "Or something else." The prosecutor stood. "I'd like to play Exhibit C voicemail left by the defendant." The sound system crackled. Then Brandon's voice filled the courtroom. "Vaughn, you really messed this up this time. Dad's pissed. Mom's pissed. You didn't have to do this. We could have talked." I listened to my name in Brandon's smooth tone. No surprise, no fear, just irritation, control. Vanessa whispered, "Notice he's not asking what happened. He's asserting that you did something wrong." Several people in the gallery tilted their heads. They heard it too. Brandon's jaw tightened a small crack in the calm. The judge spoke to Brandon's lawyer. "Your client's voicemail doesn't sound confused. It sounds like he anticipated this confrontation." The prosecutor stood and said 6 words that made my heart pound. "The state calls Vaughn Sutton." I felt every eye shift toward me. Sharon's face went pale. Brandon's mask began to crack. Vanessa's hand rested on my shoulder. Just tell the truth, exactly what you heard. I stood. My legs felt like wood. I walked to the witness stand, raised my right hand, swore to tell the truth. Sat down. The microphone was too close, making every breath loud. Measure twice, cut once. I'd measured every word I was about to say. The prosecutor smiled not unkindly and asked, Mr. Sutton, can you tell the court what happened on the evening of December 10th? I'd told this story to the police, to Vanessa, to Gordon, but telling it in front of a courtroom full of people who'd seen me at Food Lion, who'd waved from their porches, who'd believed Sharon's Facebook post, that was different. That was putting your whole life on trial. The prosecutor's voice was steady. What happened on December 10th? I'd practiced this with Vanessa. Keep it simple. Stick to what you heard. I stopped at Domino's on Oleander Drive, bought a pizza, thought maybe we could have a normal family dinner. I paused. I pulled into my driveway around 8. The garage light was off. I heard voices. What did you hear? My stepson Brandon. He was on the phone. I heard him say, yeah, I cut the brake line. See you at the old man's funeral tomorrow. Whispers rippled through the courtroom. And then I heard my wife, Sharon. She asked, you sure the insurance is active? Brandon said policy went active last week. $250,000 split 50-50. We're good. And Sharon said, good. The courtroom went silent. Brandon's lawyer tried cross-examination. Mr. Sutton, isn't it true you had conflicts with Brandon? Yes, I wanted him to be responsible. He's 32. Isn't it true you delivered a faulty vehicle to Mr. Fletcher without warning? I told Gordon not to drive it, asked him to inspect it first. Gordon's voice rumbled from the back. That's right. The judge sharp. Mr. Fletcher, wait until you're called. The prosecutor stood. Your Honor, we have more. An image appeared on the screen security footage time-stamped. Market Street Auto Parts. December 8th, 6:47 p.m. Brandon Sutton purchasing a tubing cutter. The footage played. Brandon at the register. And 6 minutes later, same store. New footage, Sharon entering paying cash at a different register. Sharon Sutton reimbursing her son. Cash payment $18.73. Exact match to his credit card charge. Sharon made a sound, half gasp, half sob. Her head whipped toward Brandon. Sharon whispered, but the mic caught it. Brandon, what did you... Brandon hissed, shut up. Shut up like she was a problem, not a person. The judge leaned forward. The prosecutor delivered the final blow. Exhibit H life insurance policy purchased by Sharon Sutton on Vaughn Sutton's life, September 15th. Amount $250,000. Beneficiaries. Sharon 50%. Brandon 50%. Policy activated December 3rd, 1 week before the brake line incident. Mr. Sutton had no knowledge. The judge stared at Sharon and Brandon through his glasses. Let me understand this. Mrs. Sutton purchased a $250,000 policy on her husband without his knowledge, and 1 week after activation, his brake line was deliberately cut. The prosecutor, correct your honor. The judge looked at Brandon's lawyer. Counselor, this isn't a family dispute. This is conspiracy to commit murder for financial gain. Your client stood to gain $125,000 from his stepfather's death. He paused. A mechanical coincidence with a clean cut like that. I suppose next, you'll tell me the truck performed surgery on itself. Brief, sharp laughter broke the tension. Brandon's face flushed red. Based on the evidence, the court finds probable cause. No contact order effective immediately. Defendant remanded pending trial. The gavel cracked. A bailiff moved toward Brandon. He stood, fists clenched, staring at me. Not sadness, not remorse. Pure hatred. Sharon's crying became broken, real, not performance anymore. Constance and Beverly sat open-mouthed. Mrs. Bergman had gone pale. I walked out into December sunlight. Pale and weak, but still light. Vanessa walked beside me. Gordon close behind. My hands weren't shaking. My breath was steady. Behind me, Constance said to Beverly, I can't believe we... Oh, God, we believed her. Mrs. Bergman stood on the courthouse steps, looking at me like she wanted to apologize but couldn't find words. I didn't stop. I kept walking toward my sedan, the same car I'd sat in 2 weeks ago with warm pizza and safety that had shattered. I didn't feel victorious. I felt like I'd just survived something that should have killed me, and maybe that was enough of a victory. I went back to the motel that night, alone. The room felt smaller than before, like the walls knew I didn't belong there anymore. Justice doesn't end when the gavel falls. It echoes in how people look at you, in how you look at yourself, in the long, quiet nights when you're finally safe, but don't quite believe it yet. The adrenaline finally drained like a puppet with cut strings. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, the garage, Brandon's voice, Sharon's face. Around 3 a.m., my heart started racing for no reason. Hands went numb, chest tightened. Thought heart attack. I sat on the bathroom floor, back against the tub, breathing shallow. Tried not to panic. Measure twice, cut once. Measure twice. Whispered it like a prayer until my heart slowed. By morning, exhausted, afraid of my own body. The urgent care clinic wasn't my style. I hate doctors, but I couldn't trust this body anymore. The nurse took my blood pressure, frowned. The doctor was kind, practical. You under stress? I almost laughed. You could say that. Your heart's fine, but your numbers are through the roof. Blood pressure, cortisol. Your body's been in fight or flight so long, it forgot how to rest. He prescribed cut caffeine sleep meds short term, and this is critical, reduce your stressors. I'm trying, they're in jail. The doctor gently, stress doesn't end when the danger passes. Your body needs time to believe it's over. Be patient with yourself. Patient, always came back to that. A week later, Vanessa's office divorce papers. Sharon had tried to contact me twice. 2 voicemails, one crying, one angry. A church friend played intermediary. Sharon just wants closure. Vanessa, closure. She wanted you dead for money. Block the number, keep the no contact order. I signed the papers. My hands were steady. Vanessa, Sharon's lawyer, tried to add a reconciliation clause. I crossed it out. Good. The marriage ended in signatures and stamps. It didn't hurt like I'd expected. I'd already mourned it that December night in the garage. Gordon transferred the F-250 back to me. Legal process complete, evidence released. I stared at the truck in Gordon's driveway. Couldn't drive it. Couldn't look at it. Decided sell it. The dealer offered $6,900. Market value. I'll take $4,200. Just want it gone. The salesman looked confused but didn't argue. Papers signed. Truck driven away. I watched the taillights disappear like the tow truck that night. Something broke open in my chest. Grief, anger, relief. Gordon beside me. You okay? I don't know, but I'm still here. With cash from the sale and savings, I looked at apartments. Found one second floor overlooking Cape Fear River. Not fancy, just clean, safe mine. Key detail, no garage. Just a balcony with a view of water that kept moving even when everything else felt stuck. I signed the lease. First morning, their maid Coffee sat on the balcony, watched the river. The air smelled clean, damp earth, cold stone salt from the coast. No motor oil, no pizza, no lies. Exhaled. I donated $2,000 to the new Hanover Domestic Violence Resource Center. Money from the truck sale, it felt right somehow. Turning a weapon into help for someone else. The receipt printed, and I stared at it until my eyes stung. Justice isn't watching someone suffer. Justice is standing when you couldn't before, then turning back to help the next person climb. That evening my phone buzzed. Unknown number, text, you ruined everything. No name, no context, but I knew. I stared at those 4 words, felt the old anger rise. Then I did something I'd learned. I deleted it. No response, no engagement. Just erased it like they'd tried to erase me. I put the phone down and walked to the balcony. Cape Fear River flowed in the darkness, steady and patient. I'd survived. That was enough. Months passed. Winter softened into spring. December became February, then March. I stayed in that apartment by the river, learning how to breathe again. People say time heals all wounds. I don't know if that's true, but I know this time gives you distance. And sometimes distance is enough to finally let you breathe. I sit on the balcony most mornings now, coffee in hand. It's become a ritual. The Cape Fear River below dawn, light on the water. Spring coming azaleas, blooming air warmer. I think about the journey pizza box to courtroom to here. I don't feel victorious. I feel tired. And I feel something else I hadn't felt in months safe. Brandon got 12 years. Attempted murder, conspiracy, insurance fraud. Sharon took a plea deal, accomplice charges, suspended sentence, community service. Permanent no-contact order. Gordon visited Brandon once in prison, told him, "You're not my son anymore," and walked out. The church group split. Constance apologized, tears genuine. Beverly never did. Mrs. Bergman left cookies outside my door before I moved. No note needed. In small towns, redemption is possible. But so is long memory. People will remember what happened. Some will remember they believed Sharon. Most will remember that sometimes the quiet man telling the truth was the one you should have listened to all along. I've learned some things. Patience isn't weakness, it's strategy. Trust your gut, not hope, not fear, but gut. Document everything. Timestamps, receipts, witnesses. Truth beats emotion. The legal system works if you work it right. Not perfect, not fast, but it works. Betrayal doesn't come suddenly. It's built. If you pay attention, you can see it coming. I didn't win. I survived. There's a difference. Winning implies you got everything back. Surviving means you keep going with what's left. Justice isn't revenge. It's truth standing in daylight, making liars uncomfortable. If you're listening to this story and something in your gut tightens, pay attention. If someone in your home makes you feel unsafe, that feeling is data. Don't ignore it. If you're being gaslit, told you're paranoid, told you're imagining things, document it. Timestamp it. Photograph it. Record it. Build your case silently. And if you can't call the police yet because you don't have proof, call someone you trust. A friend, a lawyer, a hotline. Don't stay silent. I'm 58 years old. I'm a carpenter. The most important thing I ever built was the case for my own survival. Measure twice, cut once, in carpentry, in life, in getting out alive. I'm not lonely. I'm alone. There's a difference. I talk to Gordon once a week. Beckett and I have lunch sometimes. Vanessa sent me a card last month. I built a bookshelf last week. First project since everything happened. Hands steady, mind clear. The smell of sawdust was good. The smell of possibility. I don't know what comes next. Another job, maybe dating eventually, or maybe just more mornings like this watching the river, drinking coffee, being alive. They wanted me dead for $250,000. Instead, I'm here. They're not. Sometimes the best revenge is simply breathing. If this story found you at the right time or the wrong time, I hope you take something from it. Trust yourself. Protect yourself. Don't let anyone make you doubt what you know is true. And if you're in danger, get out. Smart, quiet, document everything. Let the truth do the heavy lifting. I'm Vaughn Sutton. I'm a carpenter from Wilmington, North Carolina. I'm 58 years old. And I'm still here. That's all the victory I need. You know, in all my grandpa stories I've shared over the years, this one's the hardest to tell. Not because it hurts anymore, God gave me distance from that pain, but because I see folks making the same mistakes I almost made. Don't be like me. Don't ignore that voice in your gut. When I heard Brandon in that garage, I should have trusted what God was trying to tell me right then. Instead, I second-guessed myself. Nearly cost me everything. Here's what I learned, and I pray you'll take this to heart. First, patience isn't waiting, it's planning. God doesn't reward the passive, He rewards the prepared. Second, document everything. Timestamps don't lie. Receipts don't gaslight you. In court, your word against theirs means nothing. Evidence speaks truth. Third, betrayal always leaves breadcrumbs. Brandon didn't wake up one morning deciding to kill me. It was built loan after loan, boundary after boundary. I saw the signs. I just didn't want to believe my own family could do this. The lesson in all my grandpa stories comes back to this. Trust isn't blind. Love isn't naive. And survival isn't selfish, it's sacred. If your gut's screaming, listen. If someone makes you feel unsafe in your own home, that's God saying, move. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for proof everyone else will believe. Just move. What would you do if you were in my shoes? Share this story if you know someone who needs to hear it. Comment below. I read every one. And if grandpa stories like this help you see clearly, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Sometimes the most important wisdom comes from the hardest lessons.